The rain fell hard on the metal streets of Zarthan 7, a busy alien city filled with tall buildings and flying vehicles. The night was cold, lights flickered, people rushed by with umbrellas and coats, trying to stay dry. But in the middle of the street, one alien mother stood alone. Her skin was purple and glowing slightly. Her eyes were wide with fear. In her arms, she held her small child. The child was burning with fever, his body shaking. "Please, can someone help me?" she cried out. Her voice was soft, tired, but full of pain. No one stopped. She ran to the door of a big clinic. The guards looked at her with cold eyes. "My son is sick. Please, he needs medicine," she begged. One guard stepped forward and blocked her. "This clinic is for citizens only, not your kind. Move along." She tried to speak, but they pushed her back. The door slammed shut. The mother fell to her knees in the rain. The child coughed, weak and dry. She looked up at the sky, tears mixing with the rain. Why? Why won't anyone help? In the shadows, someone watched. A human man stood under a metal awning, wearing a brown jacket and carrying an old backpack. His name was Jack. He had traveled across many planets helping those in need. But now he was just passing through, until he saw this mother and child. Jack stepped forward. "Is he sick?" he asked softly. The alien mother turned sharply. Her body tensed. "Stay back. I won't hurt you," Jack said. "Let me see him." She looked into his eyes. They were calm, honest. She slowly moved aside so he could look at the child. Jack knelt down and gently touched the child's forehead. "High fever, dehydrated. He won't last long without help." The mother's lips trembled. They won't let us in. They say we are not citizens." Jack looked around. People were watching but not helping. He opened his backpack and took out a small scanner. He ran it over the child's chest and eyes. "His lungs are filling with fluid," Jack said. "But I can help. I have medicine." The mother was silent, not sure if she could trust him. Jack met her eyes. "Do you want to save him?" She nodded quickly, holding the child tighter. "Please," Jack stood up. "Come with me." He led her through narrow streets, away from the main roads. They passed broken buildings and old shops. The rain didn't stop. Finally, they reached a locked metal door. Jack typed a code. The door opened with a soft click. Inside was an old human medical clinic. Dusty, dark, but full of old equipment. "This place was shut down years ago," Jack said, "but I never stopped fixing it." He placed the child on a small bed. Lights came on. Machines beeped. Jack worked fast. He mixed a serum using clean water and human medicine from his bag. He injected it gently into the child's arm. The mother watched, her hands shaking. Minutes passed. The child's breathing slowed. His face relaxed. The mother gasped. He's getting better." Jack smiled. "He'll sleep now. Fever will drop in a few hours." Tears rolled down her cheeks. Why are you helping us?" Jack paused. "Because no child should die just because of where they're born." The moment was quiet, peaceful. But then, a loud beep came from the wall. Jack looked up. Someone triggered the clinic's location alarm. "They know we're here." The mother panicked. "They'll come. They'll take him." Jack locked the door. "Let them try." He stood by the bed, ready to protect them. Outside, the rain fell harder, but inside, a small child finally slept in peace, for the first time in days. The cold wind blew through the cracks in the old clinic walls. Dim yellow lights flickered overhead. The machines near the child gave off soft beeping sounds, slow, steady. The alien boy was still weak, but his fever was going down. The alien mother sat beside her son, holding his small hand. Her eyes were red from crying. For the first time in days, she wasn't shaking with fear. She looked across the room at the human man who had saved them. Jack sat on a broken chair, arms crossed, eyes watching the door. His brown jacket was wet from the rain, and his boots were covered in dirt. Next to him was his old backpack. It didn't look special, but inside it carried tools, medical gear, and healing kits. She glanced at the bag. What is that?" Jack smiled faintly. "This?" he said, lifting the bag onto his lap. "This is my life. Everything I need to help someone. It's in here." The mother tilted her head. "Why do you help strangers?" Jack looked down at the sleeping child. "Because when I was young, someone helped me. A soldier. I was hungry and sick. He gave me food, medicine, and a chance. I promised myself I'd do the same for others." She stayed silent for a moment, then said, "My name is Tira." Jack nodded. "Nice to meet you, Tira." Suddenly, the scanner near the door blinked red. Jack stood up fast. "They're getting closer," he said. Tira stood too. "What will they do?" "They'll arrest me," Jack replied, "for illegal treatment. And they might take your son away." Tira's face filled with panic. "No, he just got better." Jack opened a hidden panel in the wall. Inside was a small vent system and another medical bag. He pulled it out and handed it to her. "Take this. If anything happens to me, this will help him for a few more days." Tira held the bag tightly. "I can't leave you." Jack's eyes were calm. "I didn't say run. I said be ready." Footsteps echoed outside. The hum of hover vehicles was close. Jack walked to the child's bed and checked the vitals again. "His temperature is stable, but he still needs care." Tira whispered, "You act like his father." Jack looked at her. "Right now, he needs someone to fight for him." She stared at him. This human, who didn't know her, who had nothing to gain, was risking everything. Then the lights dimmed. A loud voice echoed from outside the clinic. "This is the local enforcement unit. You are in violation of galactic medical laws. Open the door." Tira gasped. Jack whispered, "Stay calm. Let me handle this." He walked to the door and pressed the intercom. "There's a sick child in here. He's better now. You should be thankful someone helped." A robotic voice replied, "You are not authorized. Open the door or we will force entry." Jack turned to Tira. "Hide with him behind the med shield. Don't speak." She nodded quickly and moved to a hidden corner where shielding glass could hide their heat signatures. Jack placed his hand on the scanner. The door opened. 4 armored officers rushed in, pointing energy rifles. Behind them, a Union enforcer in a black coat stepped forward. "You're the human healer," the enforcer said coldly. Jack raised his hands. "Yes, and I'm also the reason a child didn't die tonight," the enforcer sneered. "You broke the law." Jack stood tall. "Maybe your laws need to change." Without warning, the officers tackled him. They pushed him to the floor, tied his hands, and began dragging him out. As he passed the shielded corner, he whispered, "Take care of him." Tira held back tears. She watched him disappear into the night, but in her arms, her child still breathed, still lived, and she knew this wasn't the end, this was the beginning. The door slammed shut behind them. Jack was gone. Tira sat in silence, holding her child close under the dim lights of the hidden corner. Her heart was beating fast. Her hands trembled. But her son, he was alive. His breathing was steady now. His forehead was cooler. The human had kept his promise. Tira slowly stood and walked out from the shielded corner. She looked around the old clinic, now quiet again. Dust floated in the air. Broken chairs, rusty cabinets, and old machines surrounded her. She had never seen such strange human tools before. But somehow, in this forgotten place, her son had found life again. She looked down at the second medical bag Jack had given her. Carefully, she opened it. Inside, she found vials, a healing patch, and a small data disk marked in human language. She touched the disk and a small hologram appeared. Jack's face showed up, speaking softly. "If you're watching this, I've been taken. But don't be afraid. This clinic, it's not just a room. It's a network. Hidden places like this still exist on many planets. Old human aid stations. Forbidden, forgotten, but alive. This one has a deep vault. You'll find it behind the med console. Go there. And if you choose to fight, start with the truth. The message ended. Tira stared at the screen, shocked. This wasn't just a one-time act. Jack had built something secret, powerful, and dangerous. She walked to the med console. It was old and dusty, but still powered. She pushed the side panel. It clicked open. A narrow stairway led downward into darkness. She hesitated, then stepped in. The underground room was small but filled with old supplies, medicine, food, water, power cells, and even recordings. They were from years ago. Videos of alien families, sick children, humans helping them, healers like Jack risking everything. Tira realized this place was more than a clinic. It was a truth vault. She tapped one of the screens and saw more recordings. Alien refugees being denied entry, children dying outside clinics, humans arrested for offering aid. Each video had Jack's voice. We don't need permission to care. We just need courage. Tira felt something rise in her chest, fire, strength. She was just a poor alien mother, but now she held something powerful. Proof. She grabbed a few vials, packed them in a bag, and returned to her son. He was awake now, weak but smiling. His small fingers reached out and touched her face. Mama, not sick, he whispered. She hugged him tightly. No, my love, you are healing. But she knew others were not. She looked around. If this clinic could help her son, it could help others too. Then she made a decision. Tira walked to the console, pulled out a small recorder, and began to speak. This is Tira of Clan Rail. I was turned away by doctors, clinics, and laws. My child was dying and no one helped except a human. He saved my son. His name is Jack. He is now in chains because of kindness. She paused, then added, but I will not stay silent. I will speak, and the stars will hear me. She uploaded the video to the clinic's old system. Jack's network would know. Someone would see. Someone would share. Outside, the city was dark, uncaring. But in this old, forbidden clinic, a spark had been lit, and it was only the beginning. The morning sky above Zarthon 7 was gray and heavy. Rain had stopped, but the air still smelled of metal and dust. The streets were calm, but near the old sector something dangerous was brewing. Inside the forgotten clinic, Tira moved with purpose. She wasn't the same broken mother from last night. Her child, now awake, sitting up, breathing better, watched her with wide eyes as she cleaned the old equipment, packed medicine, and set up the emergency broadcast terminal. Jack's message had opened her eyes. This place wasn't just a room with walls. It was a weapon of truth. The video she sent had already begun to spread through underground networks. Whispers were turning into waves. Some called her brave. Others warned her to run, but Tira wasn't leaving. She looked down at her son and smiled weakly. We will not hide anymore. Suddenly, a warning light flashed red. The clinic's sensors picked up multiple heat signatures. Vehicles, troops, closing in fast. Tira's heart jumped. She moved quickly to the front door's security monitor. A convoy of Union enforcement soldiers surrounded the building. Their armor was black with red stripes, elite units. At the front stood a tall figure in a gray coat with glowing cybernetic eyes. A commander. He lifted a speaker. Alien trespasser. You are in possession of restricted medical equipment and you are distributing unauthorized messages. Open the door now or we will enter by force. Tira held her son close. The child whispered, Mama, I'm scared. She kissed his forehead. Be strong, like Jack said. She stepped forward and turned on the external mic. I am a mother. My child was dying. You closed your doors. A human saved him. If that is a crime, then come take me. The soldiers raised their weapons. But before they could break down the door, something unexpected happened. Civilians began to arrive. Aliens of all shapes and colors, from poor districts and slums, surrounded the street. Some held up small signs. Others just stood in silence, Many had lost children, many had suffered like Tira, and now, they stood with her. The commander growled, "Clear this area or we will use force." But one voice shouted from the crowd, "She saved her child, why didn't you?" Another added, "Let the human go." The soldiers hesitated. Inside the clinic, Tira started recording again, her voice calm, steady. "They came to arrest me, but they will not erase the truth. This clinic gave my child a second chance. If they destroy it now, they destroy hope. For everyone." Suddenly, the building's comm panel blinked. "Private signal incoming." Tira tapped it. A hologram appeared. Was Jack, bruised but alive. He was speaking from a Union holding cell. "Tira, I saw your message. They couldn't stop it. You did more than I ever could. I'm proud of you." Tira's eyes filled with tears. Jack continued, "More humans are watching now. Some have power, some have voices. Keep going. We're with you." The signal ended. Tira stood taller. She looked at her son, now smiling weakly, and then back at the clinic doors. Outside, the soldiers stepped back. Someone else had arrived. Human diplomat, protected by galactic law, stood in front of the convoy holding a data slate. He read the new order aloud. "This clinic is now protected under Human Emergency Medical Law 17B. Any attempt to destroy or seize it will be seen as an act of aggression." The commander's face twisted with rage, but he gave the signal. The troops left. The crowd cheered. Tira collapsed to her knees in relief, holding her son close. She had stood at death's door and kept it shut. Now, the galaxy was watching, and the war for compassion had just begun. The night returned to Zarthon 7, but it didn't bring silence. Screens across the lower districts flickered with a new message. Not an ad. Not propaganda. A voice, a face, a truth. The image showed Tira, standing in the middle of the forbidden clinic, holding her child. Her voice was soft but strong. Her eyes were tired, but they held fire. "My child was dying. I begged for help." Doors closed, guards pushed me away, but one man didn't. He was human. He had nothing, but he gave everything. His name is Jack. Across the stars, people paused. In repair shops, restaurants, mining camps, spaceports, everywhere her words spread. Shared from device to device. Played in secret. Translated in dozens of alien tongues. "You say rules protect the Union, but who protects the helpless? Who protects the children?" On the mining moon of Eltros, a young alien couple watched the screen in tears. They had lost their daughter to the same sickness. On a cargo ship passing through Sector 12, a human pilot paused playback and whispered, "Jack, you crazy hero." On Earth, a retired medic who once served during border wars saw the clip and stood up from his chair. "We should have never shut those clinics." Back in the old clinic, Tira sat with her son, watching the numbers grow. Thousands, then millions. Her message had become a storm. A new alert popped up on the console. Petition started, "Free Jack and restore emergency clinics." Signed, 1,281,240. Tira covered her mouth in shock. "They're listening." Her son leaned against her shoulder. "Mama, are we safe now?" She smiled sadly. "We're safer than yesterday." Just then the door buzzed. She froze. She checked the camera, expecting soldiers, threats, another warning. But instead, she saw a crowd of mothers, alien women of every shape, color, and species. Some carried babies. Some had sick children in their arms. All looked exhausted, but hopeful. One stepped forward and spoke into the door mic. "We heard what you did. We need help. We have no one." Tira opened the door. The hallway filled with quiet cries, tired eyes, and desperate hopes. She looked around the clinic. It wasn't made for so many. It wasn't ready. But it had something most places didn't. A heart. She led them in, sat them down, gave them water, blankets, whatever she had. Then she picked up the med bag and remembered Jack's words. You don't need a title to heal. You need a choice. Tira made hers. Later that night, she started another broadcast, not just a message, this time, but a call. This clinic needs help. We need more supplies, more hands, more hope. If you believe no child should suffer alone, then come. Across the stars, people answered. A mechanic offered to fix old clinic machines. A young alien student sent a box of food packs. A retired human doctor quietly sent coordinates to another hidden clinic, still functional, and the screen lit up with a message from Earth's humanitarian command. Investigation open. Union medical laws under review. Change had begun. Not through war, not through force, but through one desperate mother, and one human with a bag of medicine. News travels fast in space, but truth, when wrapped in emotion, travels faster. In just 48 hours, Tira's broadcast had been viewed over 20 million times, translated into 60 languages, shared on private networks, union feeds, pirate satellites, and even whispered across prison walls. But the real change didn't come from the numbers. It came from the hearts it reached. On the desert moon, Varnox, where medicine was outlawed for half-blood species, a small group of human medics opened an old bunker clinic. On the floating station Red Line 9, 3 alien doctors walked off their government contracts saying, "We heal, not judge." On Earth, a senator who had once voted to close the emergency clinic stood before a global panel and said, "I saw a mother fight harder than our whole system. I saw a human, unarmed, unpaid, heal a child the law left to die. We failed, but she didn't." Back on Zarthon 7, the air was no longer filled with fear. The once-forgotten clinic now buzzed with life. Jack's face was everywhere, on posters, murals, even carved into a wall near the slums. Not as a hero in armor, but as a man holding a child, tired, bruised, and smiling. Inside the clinic, Tira worked day and night. She wasn't a nurse. She had no training. But she had courage, and people followed that. Volunteers began to arrive. Some with medical skills, some with tools, some just to clean and cook. A lizard-like alien named Grell came with solar panels. "I saw the video," he said, setting them up on the roof. "Sunlight heals too." A pair of twin sisters, half human, half alien, arrived with translation devices. "We want to help the kids speak." And then, one evening, someone unexpected walked through the door. Jack. His clothes were dusty. His eye bruised, but he was standing, smiling. Tira froze. Her hands dropped the datapad she was holding. Her son ran forward, shouting, "Uncle Jack." Jack bent down, caught him in a hug, and looked up at Tira. "Did I miss anything?" Tira laughed, tears falling freely. "Just a small galaxy-wide movement." Jack entered, looked around, and nodded slowly. "You did this." "No," she said. "We did." Later that night, Jack sat outside the clinic, sipping warm broth, watching stars blink above the city sky. Tira joined him. "You were in prison?" she asked. Jack nodded. "Only for a few days. After your video, they had to let me go." Too much attention, too many questions. "And now?" she asked. He smiled. "Now we keep going. There are still children out there, still parents begging, still closed doors that need opening." Tira looked at the small flickering lantern beside them. "This little light started a fire," she whispered. Jack nodded slowly. "Good. Let it burn." And somewhere across the galaxy, in a distant room, a union official watched their conversation on a secure screen. His eyes narrowed. "They've lit a flame," he said to his assistant. "We either join it, or we get burned." The stars above Zarthon 7 were brighter than usual. Maybe it was the season. Maybe it was the new solar panels glowing from the clinic's roof. Or maybe, just maybe, it was hope shining back. Inside the once-forgotten clinic, the quiet hum of machines was now joined by soft laughter, the tapping of small feet, and voices in different languages. It didn't feel like a hospital anymore. It felt like a home. Children from different planets played in the hallway. Some had tails, some had scales, others glowed faintly, but all of them were healing, and all of them were smiling. Jack stood at the front counter, organizing new medicine, packs. He wore no uniform, no badge, just a worn brown jacket and a tired but peaceful look on his face. Tira entered the room, carrying a list of incoming patients. Her steps were faster now, more confident. She wasn't just a mother anymore, she was a leader. "You've turned this place into a miracle," Jack said, glancing at her. Tira smiled. "We did." Her son ran in, hugging Jack's leg. "Look, I drew you." He handed Jack a small paper. It showed a stick figure human holding hands with a small alien boy. Behind them was a sun and stars. Jack chuckled, then knelt down. "I love it. Best drawing I've ever seen." The boy grinned. "Are you my dad now?" The room went quiet. Jack looked at Tira, surprised. Tira walked over and placed a gentle hand on Jack's shoulder. "You gave him life again," she said softly. "You stayed when no one else did. In our world, we call that father in spirit." Jack didn't speak for a moment. His voice caught in his throat. Then he smiled, pulled the boy close, and whispered, "I'll always be here." Later that day, something unexpected arrived. A large ship, white and silver, bearing the symbol of the Galactic Union Humanitarian Alliance. A diplomat stepped out and approached the clinic doors. Jack and Tira met him outside. The man extended a data pad. "By order of emergency law revision, this clinic is now officially recognized as an interspecies medical refuge zone. You're not alone anymore." Jack raised an eyebrow. "You came all this way to say that?" The man smiled. "No, I also came to learn. Your clinic, it inspired policy change across 4 systems. Earth wants to build more, just like this. But we need someone to lead." Jack folded his arms. "You already have a leader." He looked at Tira. The diplomat turned to her. "Would you accept the position, head of Zarthon 7 Unified Relief Center?" Tira hesitated, then nodded. "If I say yes, no one gets turned away? Not a single soul. Then yes." The crowd around the clinic cheered, but Jack just smiled quietly and stepped back. He didn't want power. He wanted peace. As evening fell, the clinic was filled with warm lights, gentle music, and shared food. Alien parents hugged their children tighter, volunteers danced, and laughter rose into the sky. Jack stood by the door watching it all, arms crossed. Tira joined him once more. "What now?" she asked. Jack looked at the stars. "We keep building," he said. "More clinics, more lights. One day, maybe, no child will ever have to beg again." She nodded. "And if they do, someone will answer." And together they watched the city come alive, with healing, with unity, and with the quiet, powerful fire of kindness. Because in a galaxy that had once closed every door, one human had knocked until it opened,